Picture this. Akbar's massive army has surrounded the Chittor fort on all sides. They have been camping outside for months, but without any success. But one day, their patience pays off, and the fort's thick walls are finally breached. And once the fort is captured, Akbar orders a mass slaughter. Everyone inside the fort is killed men, women, children, nobody is spared. And then his army damages the temples inside the fort. Today, if you visit the Chittor fort, you can still see how the temple sculptures have been defaced. But Akbar doesn't just stop here. He proceeds to issue a proud statement, proclaiming it as a victory over non believers. But wait a second. Wasn't Akbar a secular ruler? Or was his religious tolerance real? Or was it just really smart politics? Well, you see, the answer is not really straightforward, and historians have been arguing for centuries about it. By the end of this video, you'll see the strongest case for both sides, and then you can decide for yourselves. Now, some argue that the infamous siege of Chittor happened before most of his famous tolerant policies. So perhaps he learned through this very hard won war that crushing the Rajputs by force was expensive and very difficult. It was better to just ally with them. And what could be a stronger alliance than a marital alliance? Over the years, Akbar married several Rajput Hindu princesses. And here's the part that surprises people. He let them keep their own faith inside his palace. Now, they didn't have to convert to Islam. They kept their temples, their rituals, their priests right there in the Mughal haram. They would regularly hold havans inside the Mughal haram, and Akbar would also join in sometimes. He started viewing the havan fire as holy and asked it to be burned continuously all the time inside the female quarters. Hindu festivals like Holi and Diwali began to be celebrated on a grand scale in the Mughal court, and he would even enthusiastically participate himself. In fact, taking inspiration from his Rajput wives, who considered themselves Suryavanshis, which means the descendants of the sun god, he even started praying to the sun 4 times a day. He stopped eating meat on certain days out of respect for them and even banned cow slaughter across the empire. Now, on the surface, that looks like real respect for other religions. But there's a question here. Was it done simply to keep the Rajputs happy? Or, after all, these Rajput kingdoms were powerful allies to his empire. So perhaps it was all just a diplomatic act. Now, interesting thing to note here is that for a supposedly tolerant emperor, none of Akbar's sisters or daughters were married to the Rajputs. It was always one sided. He was the one marrying these Rajput women. But there's another thing that we need to consider. Didn't he abolish the Jizya tax? Yes, that's right. In 1564, just 2 years after marrying his first Rajput wife, Akbar abolished the Jizya, a tax that non Muslims had to pay simply for not being Muslim. He viewed that tax as discriminatory, obviously, and scrapped it. He also scrapped the pilgrimage tax that Hindus paid to visit their own holy sites, like think about like Mathura, Varanasi. These were places that Hindus regularly visited, and they had to pay a tax to visit them. But Akbar abolished this tax. Now, for a Hindu family living under his rule, these removing these discriminatory taxes was not just a major financial relief, but it was also a real signal that they weren't second class citizens in their own country. Now, the surprising thing is that he removed this tax despite major opposition from Orthodox members of his court. So we can see that he was quite determined to remove this tax. But now here's the political outlook of this. Most of Akbar's empire, somewhere around 80%, was actually non Muslim. So, by imposing such an unpopular tax, you are actually building resentment among the majority of your subjects. So, if you remove that tax, It's not just kindness, it's actually a very practical move to stop rebellions among the people. Now, for one of the most fascinating parts of his reign, Akbar built something called the Ibadat Khana, the house of worship at his capital in Fatehpur Sikri. It was a place where religious intellectuals could come and debate their beliefs. And he didn't keep it just open to Islamic scholars. He also invited Hindu priests, Jain monks, Zoroastrian priests, and Christian missionaries to participate in these debates. He himself sat there and listened for hours, night after night. Now, that's a level of genuine curiosity that's kind of hard to fake. He also had the Hindu epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, translated into Persian so people across his empire could read them. He also gave generous land grants to 35 temples in Mathura. And then there's Din-i-Ilahi, the cult Akbar created himself, which blended pieces of Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and Christianity. So here it appears that Akbar was genuinely searching for spiritual truth across all religions. But a lot of historians also read this differently. Some say it was a way for him to make himself the supreme authority, even in religious matters, which had traditionally been in control of the ulemas. So, if you think from that perspective, blending religions becomes not just about seeking truth, it also becomes an initiative to make sure that no religious institution can challenge your power. So, which is it? Was Akbar's religious tolerance real? Was he genuinely curious to learn about other religions? Or was it just a political move to keep his power? Honestly, the most accurate answer might actually be both at once. Now, Akbar might have initially used religious tolerance only as a political tool, but along the way, he might have genuinely come to appreciate different religions. So, you see, people aren't always one thing. And he also had his Rajput wives to instill that sense of religious curiosity in him. And as he probably spent more time with people of different faiths, he probably got exposed to different beliefs, and he probably became invoked a genuine curiosity at some point. Now, but one thing is clear here that with time, as his empire grew more powerful, he seems to have become not only tolerant, but also more appreciative of different religions. And whatever his true motives might have been, he clearly remains the only Mughal emperor to have taken a genuine interest in not just learning about other religions, but also uniting people across all religions. And if you genuinely enjoyed this video, I hope you will like it and consider subscribing to this channel. And if there are any other topics that you would want me to cover, put it in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.